Generational wealth. That's what the majority of people in crypto are looking to find. And if it's not for them, it will be for those generations to come. So in this video, I want to talk a little bit about Michael Saylor as well as the Satoshi Nakamoto, ever so famous, as we get into the Bitcoin conversation and what is actually going to be done with all the Bitcoin that Michael Saylor owns. We're going to break that down for you guys right here in this video, and I'll share with you guys kind of my reaction and how I feel about all this as we take a dive into the price of Bitcoin right now on the charts. So before we get down into it, let's talk a little bit about what's going on here in the channel. Please, absolutely, guys, subscribe down below if you have not yet joined us. We are building here. I'd love to have you for the ride as we get into this next altcoin season and cover all your favorite cryptos every single day. But with that being said, let's get down into it. And this is kind of what we're going to be talking about as Michael Saylor saying he will give away all of his Bitcoin, very similar to what Satoshi Nakamoto has done before. And we're going to talk about that right after we get down into what the market is doing as we look into this day within the top 100, where the overall crypto sphere is about a 50-50 split right now, trying to figure out if it wants to be bullish or bearish as we get into the later part of October, where we have not seen that up October yet, quite frankly, but Bitcoin at 67.4 as we're currently recording. I will take that for BTC. It has been illustrating a lot of Bitcoin dominance. We could talk about that a little bit more so, but the highlight of this video will be just getting into this comments from Michael Saylor. But this has been an absolute incredible year for BTC, and for all you guys that have been making trades, swing trades, trading on leverage, or just straight holding and stacking BTC. This is one where you have to celebrate it, up 114% on the year. And if we look at that yearly chart, guys, it has been absolutely insane, stemming from a 31,000, if we look into that trough that we hit way back 365 days ago to this day, okay, and then ever so pushing upon all-time highs as we've hit 71,672. It's closer than you think, just a little bit over $4,000 away from where we would be at if Bitcoin can hit all-time highs. And I'm sure Michael Saylor is getting ready, and that is what we're going to be talking about as we get into these comments. And please remember, though, everything I say on this channel is not to be confused with financial advice. Always do your own research and due diligence, okay? And we do channel sponsorships here on this channel. So if you do find anything down below in the description box, make sure you do check it out. Click them, and there will be somewhat of a promotional value usually attached to those links, where if you want to get involved with those exchanges, it does help out the channel, but make sure that they're right for you and where you're located before making any decisions, okay? So that's kind of where we're at within that. But Michael Saylor giving away his Bitcoin. Okay, so as we all know, the co-founder and executive chairman of MicroStrategy. Now, this is a good read. Okay, a lot of times we talk in crypto just about kind of, will we erase zero? Will we hit all-time highs? Will we, kind of change a big headline for the better, okay, a big issue within the world and the foundations of economy and economics worldwide. But in this piece, it's kind of more so just a testament to kind of the mindset. It's more of a psychological piece, which sometimes I do like to shift gears and tell you guys about what's going on with these, but reflecting on his personal motivation, okay, saying that the goal goes beyond wealth, okay? He's a single guy, he has no children, and when he's gone, okay? Just like Satoshi left a million Bitcoin to the universe, so he's going to leave whatever I've got to civilization, all right? So that's kind of what you look at. He goes into compare and an aside. You take steel and electricity, okay? Those are two big ones. Take away the electricity, you have no elevator. Take away the steel, the building falls over. So kind of just putting it in a nutshell, what he's trying to say is that everything is going to rely on everything. I believe that's probably called something, maybe even a theory of relativity. I don't really know. I'm not really a physics major, but if we get into this in terms of how this is going to affect us as human beings and in terms of our, as I said earlier, generational wealth, and we talk about these generations, he goes on to say, if you want your company, family, endowment to last forever, you need to capitalize it with an asset that doesn't degrade. Saylor said during the interview, okay? And that's kind of true, right? Everybody's just going to slowly over time siphon away from that, and eventually even the wealthiest families in the history of the world end up going for broke for the most part. But it is funny how the governments kind of bail them out, and they do find some success or silver lining along the way. But even so, you look at some of these, high power, high profile families, even outside of the United States, there always are those stories that do take you back to some kind of demise. So I kind of agree with what he's saying, right? saying that they will degrade like the economic clay or balsa wood, while Bitcoin will retain value over time. So what he's kind of alluding to is that if the dollar does degrade, which obviously everybody knows about the US dollar, and how that potentially does kind of have a different take in comparison to other longevities of foreign currencies, okay? But reflecting on this building for the future, he goes on to talk about 8 billion people with crypto, or crypto steel or economic steel. We can build something much more grander in the 21st century than in all of the 20th century, with economists struggling with clay and cotton candy. Yeah, I mean, I definitely get, it's kind of, I can kind of relate to Michael Saylor, because people always joke about some of my analogies that I make and that they don't make sense, or that I talk in my own language. And I think for most out there, that unless you're a Michael Saylor fanboy, you are going to kind of come away with this piece thinking that he did take kind of some substance, or something that affected his thought processes, because it just kind of goes right over the top of your head, right? Another quote he goes on to make is, "It won't fly you, it won't cure your cancer, it won't make you happy, it won't solve your mental issue, and it won't make your children love you. However, it's economic energy. It'll solve half the world's problems," okay? And yeah, and that kind of goes deeper into the whole source of money and what it actually means to us, and if we actually need it, right? We all do this rat race. We chase success, chase money, but when push comes to shove, you're really not as broke as you think you are, or as poor as you think you are, even in the worst of situations, because money is completely subjective. Objective, subjective, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Is it's all artificial. Yes, you need it for stuff, but I mean, there's just some articles where I was just reading about people in tribes that still live off nothing, and in the bush, and it's unfortunate for modern medicines and stuff, but it's kind of crazy. We spend all this money, in some ways it kind of poisons you. So that's kind of what we're getting into, but as we go deeper into the Michael Saylor principles here that he's trying to pass along, okay, Bitcoin solving the economic world's problems. He's gone on to say that he has over 252,000 Bitcoin, about $16 billion, positioning it as the largest Bitcoin amongst companies, which we all do know and appreciate. Now, saying that MicroStrategy was shifting from a software company to what he would call a Bitcoin bank that will have a potential $1 trillion valuation by issuing securities backed by Bitcoin. Now, that is something where you do look into it as a kind of a if you're in the traditional side of finance, you kind of look at this proposition as being just completely insanity. But if you're in the crypto side of the game, you kind of appreciate it. Kind of gets you going a little bit. But that's kind of where we're seeing it, in labeling that as a infinite money glitch, okay? And where obviously it riled some of Saylor's feathers, stating that it's not a money glitch, it's a digital transformation of the capital markets. Now, we could get into that whole psychology behind crypto, or just the way that the traditional banking system has worked in the past, and the principles of Bitcoin and all of altcoins and all the likes of cryptocurrency developing into digital currency, and where this is leading to real world utility, tokenization, and even some of the subsectors within the cryptosphere that's going to matriculate into our everyday lives if we do get where we're going to, okay? It's kind of that crazy old thing where you go back into it and you look at the transformation of currency worldwide from day one, right? It seemingly has always been some kind of coin of value, right? And it's even in the archaic kind of tribal cultures, they've always used, for some reason, coin. I mean, you go back into when it was gold, actual silver, gold. It's always been some form of coin, which is kind of interesting to put into perspective. And I guess what I'm trying to say with all that is, when we take what Michael Saylor's saying, we take his thoughts, we take his solutions, his proposals, his agenda, all that good stuff as it relates to Bitcoin, and we kind of look back and compare it to the world's progression in terms of how currency and money has evolved. It wasn't built in one day. I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to say. So I appreciate all of the bullishness out of Michael Saylor. Obviously, if you ask him about altcoins and meme coins, he's probably going to kick you to the curb. But that's something neither here nor there. It's about the principles of digital currency and getting away from the thought that countries and civilizations can have a second chance, a second beginning, and provide wealth in the form of digital currency and Bitcoin. But I do take more of a capitalistic approach to that as well, and it probably won't go down as a easy pill to swallow for some and for most. But it does seem like, whenever you do give somebody a bailout, right? It's similar to what we have in the banking system right now. If you bail out the airlines, you bail out the big banks, right? Government bailouts. In some form or fashion, I know it's a chance that the government is taking and whatnot, but I think this is a crypto that needs to be for the people, okay? Unless you replace everything, but in some form or fashion, is that really going to provide you actual wealth, okay? You could think of the kind of collateral damage that may ensue if you dethrone the U.S. dollar. You have outbreaks of wars. You have, the rise of powers within nations, where nations look to topple each other over in the Middle East and abroad. And then, obviously, at one point or another, there's probably a lot of people that would like to get back at the United States one day. And if you make them in a position where they don't have anything going for them in terms of money to provide for a military, to have power over allied nations, it just really throws the whole world out of whack. And I know that may come off as like kind of an insecure or insincere statement, I should say, but I just don't want to see Bitcoin do more bad than good, although it can help a lot of people in underdeveloped nations, underprivileged nations, which is something where it's where we strive to make our bones, right? There's no point of being rich if you can't give it back to people and help others. So that's kind of what I'm going to leave you with. I kind of did rant a little bit on the psychological side of cryptocurrency and where my head's at. But Michael Saylor, one thing for certain is he does continue to buy Bitcoin. And as it stands right here today at a whopping price of $67,649 at the time of this recording, we will be all watching and listening, okay, as Michael Saylor screams from the mountaintops to buy more Bitcoin. So appreciate you guys. Thanks as always. Remember to subscribe right down below if you have not already done so. If you are subscribed to the channel, I appreciate you all. We'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.